Hey, gang. It's your boy, Wick. How you doing? How you feeling? How's it hanging? I know it's a little early. A little before 6, right? And I know some of you are like, what the hell? Wick, what happened? I shaved my beard. What happened? Sucks, but, I got some money for it. That's what we gotta go with, right? We gotta talk about some non-election things tonight. I know everyone's still interested in the election stuff, and don't worry, we got a lot of stuff to talk about in the coming weeks regarding the results of the election and how that's played out. But tonight we have to talk about Amsterdam. I don't know how else to say this, but last night in Amsterdam, Jews were hunted through the streets. People ran after them, screaming, "You're Jewish, you're Jewish," right? "You're a Jew, you're a Jew," checking passports, beating up anyone who was connected to Judaism in any way, right? Beating up people who tried to step in between the mob and Jews, right? A couple British people got some broken noses, black eyes, because they tried to help a Jew up, right? And just the most vicious violence towards Jews that oh man, in Europe that we've seen in a while. It's been, they videotaped it, right? They videotaped themselves doing it. They posted it on social media. And we have video of that. We're gonna go through it. Tonight's not for the faint of heart. I waffled back and forth whether or not to stream this on Twitch, because I know that Twitch's moderation, tonight's gonna cut it a little close. But especially Twitch, I think, needs to see some of this, right? There is a lot to talk about, a lot to go over. How did this start? What was the inciting incident or incidents? How are people reacting to it? How did the Amsterdam government react to it? How did the Amsterdam police react to it? What was done? What wasn't done? How did the various members of the communities that are native to Amsterdam handle this, right? It's not a one-sided story. One where there's a good side and a bad side, right? There were several Arabs who stood up for Jews, who tried to protect them, who tried to hide them. We're going to talk about that, right? So please don't think of this as me being anti-Arab. There was plenty of Arabs who stood up, right? And put themselves in harm's way to protect Jewish people, right? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the ones who didn't. We're going to talk about the ones who decided to take out their anger and frustration on anyone who they could find that was Jewish or looked Jewish. It's a lot. It's going to suck. There is a lot of competing narratives out there about this. I've done my best to kind of parse through it, but keep in mind that there's a lot of noise, right? As is whenever anything happens to Jews. There is a group of people who will come and say, the Jews deserved it. And this is why. And they will give you a list of reasons why the Jews were deserved it. Okay? We're going to talk about that too. We're going to talk about some people who are running cover for this kind of thing, right? And we're going to talk about, I think, one of the most important things is the double standard. The double standard at play and how people treat these incidents, treat the various players in these incidents, and we're going to go through it. Homie, evening friend. Hey, homie. Dylan Bowser says, Wick Jr., look, okay. My beard's gone, but it lives on in all our hearts. It'll grow back soon enough. Cameraman 502, what is this deep fake with Wick's voice? Yeah, I get it. Lesson Cell, is anti-Semitism growing in popularity again? I know it sounds like I am joking, but it's slowly starting to look more and more like it. I think it's undeniable at this point. Why does? Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Let's begin. Let's kind of get into it. I'm trying to think where to start. And I think we'll start here. Let me find it. I think probably the best place to start is here. Okay. This one it won't be where we end. Now again, there's a lot to go through. So bear with me. Okay. But I think we will start here and we'll see how it goes. Cool. Muslim mobs in Amsterdam are hunting Jews tonight. I wish it was fiction. It is not. Here's another video.
This for the children! For the children, motherfucker!
I give you my money, I give you, please go.
For the children!
I give you my money.
Free Palestine now! Free Palestine!
Free Palestine, free Palestine. Free Palestine. Take my money, take my money.
You want to kill kids? Kids are teasing me. Kids. This for the children!
Let's keep going.
Free Palestine! No, what time? Louder! I want it louder now! Free Palestine! Say it!
Where you from?
Say it!
Huh?
Привет! Спасибо! Passport.
Passport. Show your passport.
Where are you from?
Where you from?
Спасибо! Привет!
You film it, I can't say.
Where you from? Where you from?
Why you say Israel? I don't say anything. I did well, Israel, brother. I'm European, I'm tourist. What are you doing here? Why are you doing this shit?
Video after video after video, and we're going to go through more. This shit happening. Them going around trying to find, are you Jewish? Are you Israeli? And if oh, God help you if you are. Find you some more.
Stay!
You got
He's not screaming, I'm not Israeli. Not screaming that. He's not screaming, I'm not Zionist. He's not screaming that. That's why I heard that. Again, there's going to be a lot of people telling you, oh, these are just Zionists. These are just Israelis. It wasn't anti-Semitism. It was Israeli Zionists, right? Football hooligans. They were going to go for revenge, right, against the football hooligans. He wasn't screaming, I'm not Israeli. He's not screaming, I'm not Zionist. These people weren't screaming, you're a Zionist, you're a Zionist. They were screaming, you're a Jew, you're a Jew. He was screaming, I'm not Jewish, I'm not Jewish. They were not hunting Zionists. They were not hunting Israelis. They were fucking hunting Jews. Do you understand, right, how horrific this is? I don't know if I'm communicating it properly. I don't know if I'm communicating it properly. So let me see if I can find more, a couple more for you guys. I need to grab it from my other sources here. A moment, please. Where are they? Bum, bum, bum. Bum, 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 bum. I'm sorry. I know I'm a little disjointed right now, but I'm very upset. Not just because this happened, though that's obviously upsetting, right? But the reaction to a lot of people who are saying, "Well, no, it's just these are just soccer hooligans that got what they deserve." See, here, okay, I'll do it here. I'll do it here, right? I'll start here. There's a lot of people who are showing this video, right? I'll show it to you guys. You can listen to it. Okay, they're chanting, and again, this is Twitter translation, so take it with a grain of salt. But let's just grant it. Okay, they're chanting, "IDF will fuck the Arabs, death to Arabs. Why are there schools in Gaza? There are no children left there." And to be clear, I want to be very clear, that's horrific to chant. That's not a good thing. That's very bad. That's genocidal chanting. That's very worrisome. That's very hateful. The people who chanted that, if that is in fact what they chanted, are horrible people, and that's terrible. They should not have done that. It's condemnable. It's anti-Arab racism. You see how easy that is for me to say and admit? But two things can be true at the same time. We can condemn that kind of language, that kind of action, right? We can condemn, and there are other videos, and we can go through them, right? During the soccer match, they had a minute of silence, and there was some Israelis or the Israeli team fans being rowdy during the minute of silence. There's also videos of, as this person put it, let me get to it, tearing down Palestine flags in the streets and mocking dead children. There are videos of that, yeah. That's condemnable. People who are destroying public property, bad. People who are tearing up other people's flags, bad. Condemnable. Anti-Arab racism, yes, true. But when your response to that, and assuming this was a response to that, there is some evidence that this was, all these attacks, these ambushes were planned well in advance of any of that, right? If your response to that is, let's go on a Jew hunt, we can understand that the two things are true. One, shouldn't do chants, shouldn't tear down Palestinian flags. That's bad. Two, going on a Jew hunt through the streets of Amsterdam is significantly worse and not justified by one at all. At all. And under any other circumstances. Motherfuckers, right? If you are there and you watched the college protests in America where they tore up Jewish flags, got in Israelis' faces, yelled at them, screamed that they wanted 1,000 October 7th to happen to them, right? And then, right? And then if that same, right, people had gone on a college woman hunt, right, and started beating up Arabs, that would be, you would understand why that's terrible. Why that's a terrible, unreasonable response, while that's not okay to do. And in fact, I covered this on my stream live, right? Right? Live. And you can go back and you can look. When the LA college protesters, do you remember that? The LA college protesters, they had a little encampment. A bunch of people came in, right? A bunch of Jews and other people came in, launched fireworks at them, beat a bunch of people up, right? Were violent. I condemn that wholesale. That was prejudice, racist, all the words, right? I didn't try to excuse it. I didn't try to make excuses for it. I just condemned it because it's condemnable. So you would understand how even if someone's mean to you and chants mean-head things, that going around and beating up anyone of a certain ethnicity is not the proper response. And if you, and there's a couple people in my community, right, who did this, if your first thing it says, well, they fucking deserved it because they said mean things, you're a fucking anti-Semite. You're a fucking anti-Semite. I don't know what else to tell you. You're a fucking anti-Semite. You're a Jew hater. You don't see Jews as people. You don't view them as real, right? You're okay with anything happening to them. To run around and make excuses for this. Again, let's watch some of this, right? And let me ask you, okay? This guy right here. What mean chants did he say? What Palestinian flag did this guy right here, what Palestinian flag did he tear down? Show me, motherfucker. Show me the chant that this guy made. Because they hunted him down. They chased him through the streets. They beat him into unconsciousness. And then when he was unconscious, they continued to beat him. Show me. Show me what Palestinian flag he tore down. Show me what mean thing he said about Arabs. You fucking can't. I'm livid. I'm angry. You people are sick. You disgust me. People who run this cover for this disgust me. You were disgusting. This is something you would never tolerate to any other group. You would understand it's bad when it happens to any other group. Do you guys remember the race riots in, I think, Scotland, maybe it was Ireland, one of the European countries, right? An immigrant allegedly raped a girl, okay? And so right-wing kind of fashy protesters went on an immigrant hunt where they beat up immigrants, right? Where they set fire to places where immigrants were, where they did things like this, broke into hotel rooms that immigrants were staying in. Oh, like these little hooligans, right, are doing, where they heard there were Jews here and they're breaking in to fuck them up, right? And we would understand, and we get that, hey, those people who were going after immigrants because of something an immigrant did were racist. We get that. We understand it. We can process it. You know, we get it. You don't punish all immigrants because one immigrant did something wrong. You don't, right? You don't decide to go around on an immigrant hunt because one immigrant does something horrific, right? That does not give you justification. That is no excuse. That is nothing. There is no reason, right, for you to decide then, I'm going to go hunt down all those immigrants, right? And that's what happened. That's what happened. There were a group of Jews who did some terrible things, right? Okay? Like, if this was something where they decided to attack the specific people who were attacking a taxi driver, right? Because there's video out there of that, of allegedly of Israelis attacking an Arabic taxi driver. There's like 5 or 6 of them, and they're allegedly attacking a taxi driver. If they had come to the defense of that taxi driver and there was a brawl, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I'm like, well, that was, they were attacking each other. They defended the guy that was being attacked. They did nothing wrong, right? But that's not what happened. And I want you all to really understand that, to really internalize that. They didn't go after the people that did something wrong. They went after everyone who looked like or had shared an ethnicity with the people who did something wrong. They went after the people who shared an ethnicity with the people who did something wrong. What do we call that, boys and girls? What do we call that, boys and girls? There's a word. And this keeps happening. And it's escalating. Like, look, I'm not gonna kid you here. Amsterdam, for a while, has had a huge problem with anti-Semitism against Jews, right? And not just from Arabs, right? Let's read some from a native Dutch Jew, okay? Let's read something, okay? Because I don't want you guys to take away anti-Arab from this, and we'll get to it. Like, again, as I said at the beginning, some Arabs tried to defend the Jews who were getting attacked, right? They stood up for them. They tried to hide them. We'll get into that, right? We'll go over that. So again, this isn't me being anti-Arab. Plenty of Arabs who did the right thing, who were heroic, in fact, who put themselves in harm's way when they did not need to. Okay? A+. But let's read from our friend here. Okay? Some background. As a Dutch Jew, here's what I grew up with. Football hooligans singing, "We're hunting for Jews." Or Hamas, Hamas, all Jews on gas. And there's little clips of them singing. There's little clips of what they're saying, right? They're classics. Our synagogues are walled 3 times over. We go nowhere without guards. I'm more concerned tourists didn't know. I know a lot of you don't pay attention to Europe. I get it, right? But if you think that the anti-Semitism issues that we have in America are bad, you ain't seen nothing yet, kids, okay? You ain't seen nothing yet. And they get it from all sides. It's not just Arabs. It's not just Muslims. It's right-wing nationalists. It's fascists. It's Nazis. It's all sorts, right? Jewish people can't really exist in Amsterdam as publicly Jewish, and they haven't been able to for a long, long time. This is a post from the Times of Israel from 2019. Okay, this is a story from 2019. And I want you to go. I want to go through it with you because I think it's indicative. It's important. Okay, to understand. Muslim man who stabbed Jews at Amsterdam market ruled unfit to stand trial. A psychiatric evaluation deems this guy not responsible for his actions when he injured father and son in a March rampage. A Muslim man charged with trying to kill a Jewish father and son at Amsterdam market has been found not criminally responsible for his actions and sent for psychological care. A Dutch judge ruled that this man suffered from delusions, heard voices, and experienced psychosis at the time of March 16th stabbing incident at the Albert Kuip market, the NIW Jewish paper reported Monday. The judge based the ruling on a psychiatric report. The ruling follows several recent cases in Western Europe involving Muslim men who assaulted Jews and were deemed unfit to stand trial. It's pattern, okay? This guy was charged with manslaughter in the stabbings of Martin Coleman and his son Sharon, who were lightly and moderately injured, respectively. The Colemans and Abdul Ghani owned neighboring stores in the market. According to the victims, Abdul Ghani assaulted them following weeks in which he would read the Quran at the entrance of his store and leer at them. During the first hearing in the case in September, they asked the judge to consider a religious or racist motive, which was not included in the indictment. Like, again, this is one story, but we could read more. But what I'm doing this is I'm trying to get you guys to understand that Jews are not safe in Europe, especially not in Amsterdam. So this incident, right, that happened last night isn't a one-off. It's not a one-off thing. It's kind of the culmination of a long history of anti-Semitism. And again, this isn't me being anti-Arab. I want us to go over a story of this guy, Arab guy, Melhem. Wow, an incredible story about an Arab hero from last night who saved many Jews from being lynched. Melhem Assad, a longtime fan of Maccabi Tel Aviv who was at the game in Amsterdam, took an active part in seeking and rescuing Jews from the lynching by Muslim terrorists. His strategy was to speak loudly in Arabic with a group of Israeli fans, which misled the terrorists into thinking the group he was with were all Arabs and not Jews. As a result, the terrorists left them alone. This rescue took many hours, and Melhem repeated this strategy several times, as many Jewish Maccabi fans were under attack in restaurants and bars, unable to reach their hotels. Melhem continued to help by using the same trick over and over to protect more Jews. Melhem, you are a true hero. Again, this isn't me being anti-Arab. This is very clear. A lot of Arabs, him being one of them, stood up, right? Did what they needed to do, protected others, right? When they didn't have to. They didn't have to, right? Like, so again, this is super easy, and it should be super easy, and it's the icest of ice cold takes, and I don't understand why more people don't have it. But I'm just going to echo the words of Mr. Andrew Fox here. He says it perfectly. I don't understand what's wrong with the people claiming the Jews started it. Insanity. Why is it so hard to say? Maccabi fans chanting anti-Arab songs on match day is bad. And pogroms to hunt Jews in the streets, organized long before match day, are far worse. Why is this hard? But you will find that it is almost impossible for some people to make this ISIS cold take that you could possibly have, right? Both are bad, one is worse. One does not excuse the other. Because someone said mean things to you doesn't give you leave to hunt down everyone who looks like the person who said mean things to you. It just does not. And we saw this, right? We saw this just erupt in the streets. Erupt in the streets, violence in the streets. Israel had to send 2 rescue planes to get people out of there. Right? To get people home. They were no longer safe there. Like, if you want the biggest reason, right, why Israel needs to still exist, it's because of shit like this. They're not like, when you're telling a Jewish person, an Israeli Jewish person, to go back to Europe, this is what you're sending them into. Right? Let's watch some of this footage again. I think it's important.
For the children, motherfucker!
I'll give you my money. I'll give you, please go.
For the
I'll give you my
children!
money. I'll give you my money.
Free Palestine now! Free Palestine!
Free Palestine. Free Palestine. Free Palestine. Take my money. Take my money.
You want to kill kids? Kids should please him, man. Kids.
I can't show most of these videos. Like, there's videos of some of these people literally driving on the sidewalk in their car to run over Jewish people. Brighton Day says, hunting for Jewish people in the streets does sound bad and difficult. Like, how do you tell Jewish people apart from normal people unless they wear the funny caps? Well, they would check their passports, right? Here, I'll give you an example. We saw this before, but it's helpful to see it again. This is them accosting a young man.
So what time again? What time again? Free Palestine. No, what time? Louder. I want it louder now. Free Palestine. Say it.
Where you from? Where you from?
Say it. Huh? Say it.
Привет, спасибо. Passport.
Passport. Show your passport. Show your passport.
Where are you from?
Where you from?
Спасибо, привет.
You filming? I can't say.
Where you from? Where you from?
Why are you saying this now?
I don't say anything. I did for Israel, but I'm not. I'm European, I'm tourist. What are you doing here? Why are you doing this shit?
Why are you doing this shit? That's what he's asking them, right? They're apologizing because he was Ukrainian, right? He wasn't a Jew, so he was one of the good ones. Let me ask you, right? Hebert III says this. You are okay with the chants from the Maccabi Hafi supporters then, huh? There are no children in hospitals in Gaza because there are no children? No, that's anti-Arabic. Your turn, buddy. Tell me, was this anti-Semitism? Yep, those chants, racist towards Arabs. Bad, I condemn them. Your turn, buddy. Go ahead. I want you, what happened in Amsterdam last night, was that anti-Semitism? Yes or no? I'm waiting. This should be the easiest answer in the world. The easiest answer in the world. It was not anti-Semitism? Okay, motherfucker. Which chant did this guy say? Show me him chanting it. Was he kicked because he's been chanting or because he looked like the people who was chanting? because he happened to share a country or an ethnicity or a race with the people who were chanting that bullshit. And you're saying that's not anti-Semitism? Get the fuck out of here. Like, seriously. I can't tell you what I want you to do because I would break toss. If you literally can't look at what happened in Amsterdam and call it just the easiest case of anti-Semitism you could possibly believe, right? It's just clear as day. Then you are fundamentally incapable of recognizing anti-Semitism, and you got to reckon with why that is. T-Bird, here's what I want you to do. Okay? No, I can't even. I'm not risking my channel for this. But just know, right, that I see you, you fucking Nazi, you fucking fascist pig. Okay? I see you. You Jew hater. I see you. We know who you are. T-Bird the Third. T, capital T, Bird the Third. We see you. We know who you are. $5 from Lesson Cell. In the words of great Hassan fan, don't drink Coca-Cola on stream because of boycott, or drink off stream and then say you quitted. Please, I beg you. Okay. Literally every Rachel alive. Thank you, Rachel. Literally every Rachel alive. I get upset about this. I do. This should be the icest of cold takes. Yeah, what happened in Amsterdam was anti-Semitic. Because it was. If they're literally hunting Jews down in the streets and you can't recognize that as anti-Semitism, you're cooked. You're cooked. Your brain's rotted. It's melted. It's goo. It's goo. Fucking fascists in my chat here. What is going on? New CIA drone pilot. This fascist motherfucker. So new CIA drone pilot. Those quote unquote Jews were Zionists chanting death to Arabs and attacking Palestinian businesses. You have a hole in your head, buddy. Tell me, once again, which business does this Jew attack? Which chant did this Jew chant? Huh? Which one? Point it out to me, please. Hey, what is it he's screaming here? Is he screaming, I'm not Israeli?
Stay!
Is he screaming, I'm not Zionist? Is he screaming, I'm not Israeli? What's he screaming? What is it? It was in English. I heard it. You heard it. What is it? What was he screaming? Was it, I'm not Israeli? I'm not Zionist? No. That's one he was screaming. Because they weren't hunting Israelis. They weren't hunting Zionists. They were hunting Jews. And your failure, again, we see you. We know who you are. We get it. You hate Jewish people. You're a fascist piece of shit. And we will remember. We will remember. We see you. No, you're not. I don't fucking believe a word you say. You fascist piece of shit, you Jew hater, you pig. Okay? I don't believe a word you say. Yeah, there's a lot of videos out there. Like, I can't show some of them. Some of them, like, the ones I showed are pretty bad, but some of them are like, people are fucking dying, right? I can't show those. Fuck off. Fuck off, fascist. Seriously. Go away. You don't see them as human beings. I get it. You hate them. You like it when this happens to them. You're chuckling, you're dancing, you're having a great time, right? You think they're getting what they deserve because those uppity Jews, right? Literally everyone alive, thank you for the sub, the membership on YouTube. Bright on noonday. Why are they so angry with them? Did Israel win a soccer game? It's because they there are video. Well, it depends who you believe. Okay, so there are two competing narratives. One, this was planned in advance, well before any of this happened, any of the chants, any of that, right? And they were going to ambush them, right? That they were laying in wait. That's the and the evidence of that, I'll read to you, right? I'll show you the evidence. Give me a second. And keep in mind, this isn't like the strongest evidence. That's why I'm saying there's competing narratives here. Okay. The Dutch authorities were warned about a potential pogrom in Amsterdam by Israeli officials, but completely failed to act, according to a statement from the Israeli Minister of Diaspora Affairs. This is a statement. 3 different alerts were received yesterday, shortly after 7 p.m. at the Anti-Semitism Control Center of the Ministry of Diaspora Affairs. They sent out an alert about a violent demonstration led by a pro-Palestinian activist known as APA, a specific alert about a threat to a border police soldier named Ohad, and an alert to reach the Leonardo Hotel where Israelis were staying. The alerts were forwarded to security officials in Israel, who passed on the target's warning to Dutch security forces, emphasizing the need to strengthen the security arrangement. Unfortunately, the local forces failed in their mission to protect the Israeli football fans. So again, there was some evidence, right? There was some evidence that this was a pre-planned thing. There are telegram shots and things like that as well, right? Kind of like talking about them prepping for this and planning for this. But again, it's not like super solid evidence. And there's a lot of noise when these things come out. So fair enough. That's one narrative. Okay. Second narrative, and there are videos from this, and I'll show you that, are things like this. Where they're chanting apparently mean things like IDF will fuck the Arabs, death the Arabs. Why are there schools in Gaza? There are no children left there. So pretty gross, pretty anti-Arabic, pretty racist things, right? Pretty gross, condemnable, gross, right? Inexcusable. But again, I want to ask you, this guy right here, which chant did he do? Which anti-Arabic chant did he do? Which Palestinian flag did he pull down? Which taxi driver did he attack? He didn't. There's no evidence of it, at least. His crime? He was Jewish. That was his crime. Look, during the night of broken glass, the Germans thought they had justification to go round up the Jews too. They thought they had justification. Like, look at those Jews stealing our government and doing our bad things, right? They had all the reasons of the world to put those Jews in those camps, right? According to them, they were justified. You're doing it now. You're doing the same thing the literal Nazis did during the Holocaust. The exact same thing. Making excuses for rounding up Jews. Europe has an anti-Semitism problem. Amsterdam has an anti-Semitism problem. Some of you don't just have an anti-Semitism problem. Some of you have a straight up, you're a Nazi problem. You're literally a fascist, and you should be treated as such. Even if we grant that these attacks came as a result directly of soccer hooligans pulling down an Israeli flag, interrupting a minute of silence, and chanting racist chants. Not one of those things excuses what was done in Amsterdam. Not a single one. And we would recognize this, and you would recognize this, if this was any other group. That's what's so fucking heartbreaking about this. If this was a bunch of white rednecks chasing down immigrants in the streets because an immigrant killed a girl or something, right? So they chased down any immigrant they could find and lynched them and threw them in canals to drown them and ran them over with cars and stabbed them and broke into their hotel rooms and dragged them out kicking and screaming to beat them into unconsciousness and then continue to beat them. We would recognize that that was racist, that that was racism, ugly, gross, disgusting racism. But when it's Jews, y'all make all sorts of excuses. And we see you. I'm noticing. I'm a noticer. Okay, I'm noticing. I'm seeing you. I get it, right? T-Bird, if you can find me that clip, I'll pay you $1,000. You find me a clip saying that Israel should bomb it all, should bomb all of Gaza, of me saying that, find that clip, please. You won't. Because it doesn't exist. I never said that. And in fact, and we have live on camera, right? This is what I love about being a YouTuber, right? It's recorded. You can go back and you can check my response to the LA encampment, right? You guys remember the college protests back in the winter time, right? During that whole thing. And the LA encampment was attacked by a bunch of Jews, right? And other people. They attacked them. You know what I did? I condemned it. I condemned it as horrific, unacceptable, inexcusable, because it was. Because you don't enact violence, because they rip up a Israeli flag and chant mean chants. My conscience is crystal fucking clear. Okay? Crystal fucking clear. I view both groups as human, deserving of the same protections and the same respect. When one group engages in violence against the other, I call it out. When one group engages in violence and for chants and for like protesting and pulling down flags and stupid shit like that, I call it out. No matter whether they are Jewish, Arabic, Muslim, Christian, Mormon, American, European, Republican, Democrat. They're all just people to me, buddy. Dylan Bowser says, Wick arguing with Twitch looks like him shadowboxing, but I'm not wading into that cesspool to see what they're saying. They're saying like that this wasn't anti-Semitism. They're literally saying it. Bobby Johnson says, you would recognize it if it were any other group. Wick, if I went in the ghetto and yelled the N-word, what would society think if I got beat up for it? That's not what happened. Okay? It's like you went into the ghetto, you yelled the N-word, and then they all went and found any white person they could to kill. That would be the one-to-one. I guess because they're specifically targeting Jews, it's a big factor. Yeah. Kinda. A little bit, yes. Yes, it is. It is a big factor. Again, we'd have a very different conversation if this was just a confrontation between two violent groups that were butting heads. But that's not what it was. And don't let anyone tell you that that's what it was. That's not how this went down. See, if you pick on vegans, it's not racism. you can't be racist towards vegans. That's a takeaway that some of us are having. Damn. I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of it. I'm sick and tired, and a lot of people don't like it when I call it out, right? They get annoyed with me. They're like, oh, they make jokes like little fucking Omar is saying here, like, oh, you must have gotten your paycheck again from Israel. Israel doesn't pay me. I get annoyed because I'm saying just fucking crystal clear things that I think that anyone should agree with. And I get annoyed that, again, we wouldn't tolerate this kind of hate towards any other group. But this group, it's okay. And I hate it. I do. It offends me personally, as injustice offends me personally, because it is manifestly, clearly unjust. 10 euros. Thank you for the moral clarity. Thank you for the 10 euros. Look, if you want me to shave my beard for money, I will. That's true. You want me to shave my head for money, I'll do that too. If you want me to lie to you for money, I won't do that. If you want me to lie to my audience for money, I won't do that. I have to be clear here. I wasn't going to stream today. And you can roll back the tape from yesterday. Yesterday I said it. I'm like, man, I'll probably take tomorrow off. Spend the weekend, get some content coming up for next week, see what we got going. And then I watched this play out. Then I tuned in and I watched people being hunted down in the streets just for being a certain ethnicity. I watched that happen. And then I watched people run cover for that. And it disgusted me. Like on a fucking fundamental level. Like, it disgusted me. And I had to get it out of my chest, right? I got to get it off my chest. Dylan Bowser says, Wick, I need you to host a panel on this. I want to see if you can get redder than the flag behind you. I don't want to host a panel on this. I don't want to talk to, like, the T-birds of the world, right? They're gross. Like, I wouldn't want to be in a call with a cockroach. Okay? It would, like, viscerally would disgust me. Okay? Viscerally disgusts me. It triggers my disgust reflex. Okay? Now, again, during any of these situations, you have to be careful. There's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of propaganda out there. And no one here is immune. Okay? But I've done my best to parse this. I've done my best to kind of not go off the crazy conspiracy theory route that some people are. There's a lot of people who are saying that this was planned by the Dutch police. Let this happen. They were in cahoots with the Muslims who did this. And no, that's just conspiracy nonsense. I haven't seen any real evidence of that. There's just a bunch of wild conjecture. There are some people, right, on the opposite end who says, this was a Mossad false flag operation. The Mossad IDF agents infiltrating the Dutch place to give them excuse to deport Muslims. And that's just silly, honestly. There's no evidence for that. Yeah, it doesn't pass a smell test. Why does Twitch TV hate me? Says it should disgust anyone, Wick. Yeah, but it, as you and I both know, it does not. A lot of people, they just fucking shrug. They just fucking shrug. PDX Pleb says, hey, Wick, how are you? You got a leaked article on this? I have a bunch of links as we've been going through to a bunch of different takes on this, but I haven't, again, the links I gathered were last night while it was happening, and there was yet to be any articles written on it, right? This is a recent thing. This just happened. There may have been an article released later today, right, or earlier today that I missed, but not one I can find. There's a few like short blurbs and things like the Daily Mail or other publications, but nothing I trust, right? Like, you can find a write-up in the Middle East Eye, right, if you want to check that out, but nothing I trust. What are some of our thoughts otherwise? You guys what I know Twitch's kind of vibe here today. It's Twitch, so obviously they're anti-fucking Semitic, but YouTube, how are you guys doing? How you guys feeling? What are your guys' thoughts here? Dunkin' Donuts says big Wick W tonight. I mean, this doesn't feel like a W. Like, this doesn't feel like something where I'm winning a point. This just feels like I'm saying the sky is blue. Stunning, brave stance. The sky is blue. Yeah, no shit, right? Like, I don't get it. I legit don't understand. Bright Unuday says, call me old-fashioned, Wick, but I am against hunting Jews in the streets. Same. Luminez says, just got off. What's this about? So for those of you who might just be tuning in, right? Just be tuning in to today's program. In Amsterdam yesterday, there was an eruption of violence in the streets as gangs of armed men chased Jews through the streets, beating them, running them over, throwing them in canals, stabbing them, kicking them, beating them into unconsciousness, kicking them into unconsciousness, right? And then after they're unconscious, continue to kick them, breaking into hotels where they think Israelis are hidden or Jews are hidden, and going through to pull them out, kicking and screaming into the streets. A night of terror and violence. And we're covering it because I haven't seen anyone else cover it. I haven't seen anyone else cover this. Now, it's possible I missed it, right? There's tons of streamers out there. I don't go to a lot of other people's streams, right? So maybe I missed it. It's possible. You know, I might have. And this is recent, so maybe people just don't know about it because it hasn't really made a lot of big waves outside of certain spaces. Oh, Apostate Prophet did earlier? What was his take? I'm curious. I mean, I could guess by the name, but... I do want to read a statement by a community member who sent me. I was talking in DMs with this guy, and I won't give his name. He is Jewish. Okay. And he said a few things. I invited him to come on and talk to you guys for a minute. He's busy with his family. He declined. Fair. But he did give me permission to quote him. And so I'll be doing that now. And I'm going to read to you what he wrote to me. He, first of all, wants to, he asked me to make it clear that he is, let me quote this, just express to them I'm like, comma, normal, like a normal Zionist Jew, LOL. Fair enough. I'm getting through that, right? This is what he says. And I'll read these two things to you. He says, it's abhorrent, speaking of, because I asked him to translate what they were saying in those chants, because there's all these videos of chants, and I wanted to know if the translation was accurate. So I sent it to him to ask if it was inaccurate, because I think accuracy is important here. He says this, it's abhorrent, but in my mind fits with football hooliganism culture, which already kind of irritates and disgusts most people. I'm pretty sure worse has been said about a match opponent's mothers than what is being said here. Brawls seem the norm, but this went well outside that. The literal mobs stalking and ambushing the Israeli fans, even to the point of assaults on those just suspected of being Jewish or Israeli. I felt, and this is him continuing, I felt a burning anger when I saw America's flag and our monuments tarnished during pro-Palestinian protests. I feared for my family at the cries for intifada. Did I go to my local mosque to start shit? Did I go to Muslim Pakistani restaurants and disturb diners? Did I assault a protester, though I felt the compounding urge to do so? Spoiler, he didn't. Because none of that, none of seeing any monuments be defaced or flags be burned or whatever, or globalize the intifada be chanted. None of that justifies doing any of those things that he listed. None of that justifies hunting down people you don't like in the streets who share a ethnicity with the people you think did the bad thing. Or even share an ideology, really. Luminez says, was this about a football match? Because your description doesn't sound like that, so you know. Not really. So I'll just read you guys this. Because some people will say this, and I think that was kind of surrounding it a little. But like the team had the match, and there was some good-natured back and forth and maybe a little ruckus, but there's nothing like this. No, this happened because after the match, and this was pre-planned, so planned in advance, and we have evidence of them planning this in advance. They planned, these groups and gangs planned after the match to ambush the Jewish fans who were coming out and to attack them. Let's read some context here. Crucial context, I should say, for people who don't follow European football. The attacks against Israeli supporters today in Amsterdam have nothing to do with football. The supporters of Ajax Amsterdam are called the Super Jews and have great relations with all Israeli teams for decades. Havila Naga is one of the songs their supporters often sing at their home stadium. This video shows ethnic Dutch Ajax supporters partying with the supporters of Maccabi Tel Aviv ahead of yesterday's game between the two teams. The violent attacks against Maccabi Tel Aviv supporters were carried out by mobs of migrants from North Africa and the Middle East. They were solely motivated by their hatred against Jews and the frenzied hatred whipped up against the Jews in Arab social media before and after the October 7th massacre. The attacks against Jews in Amsterdam are a result of decades of heedless, and I don't necessarily agree with this, but the attacks against Jews are in Amsterdam are a result of decades of heedless immigration policies in Western Europe. And this is a video of the two teams hanging out, partying, doing their thing, okay? No violence, really. So does that answer your question, Luminez? Ajax? Oh, am I pronouncing it wrong? Very much. I could be pronouncing it wrong. I will give you that. Ajax even? Is that how you say it? Luminez says, yeah, sounds like a cover for 7th too. Hala Boogaloo. Kind of. And again, right? Like, let's even grant them everything. Let's grant them everything. Let's grant that this was because Jewish or Israeli Zionists decided to be mean and interrupt a minute of silence, okay? That the Arabs saw this. The Arabs saw them do that. They heard them chant the horrific genocidal chants, okay? They saw them attack a taxi driver. They saw them pull down some Palestinian flags. Let's grant all of that. That does not excuse them deciding to hunt down all the Jews they could find. Much like we could recognize an immigrant that kills and rapes a girl is bad. It's horrific. It's wrong. Justice needs to be done. But if that happens, and then the redneck hicks in the country in which it happens decide to go on an immigrant hunt and round up all immigrants that they can find, right? To beat up into unconsciousness, to break into the hotels where they're staying and drag them outside, right? to run them over in the streets and on the sidewalk, to throw them in canals, to stab them, to beat them, to rob them, to steal their passport, all of that, right? We can recognize that that's racist. That's an inappropriate and irresponsible response to something that is horrific. But for whatever reason, people don't make that connection with this. For whatever reason, because Jews are involved, suddenly it's okay. Or suddenly it's understandable. Or suddenly we don't need to pay too much attention to it, right? Or, this is just two groups being violent. No, all these excuses, all these reasons, right? All this bullshit. And that's what it is. It's bullshit. Bill Bradley says people's willingness to resort to violence so easily and readily is disheartening, to put it lightly, and definitely worrisome. Yes, absolutely. Like, this is getting worse. This is getting worse, not just in America and in Europe and across the world. The anti-Semitism is on a surge. There is a surge of it. It has become acceptable. It's become socially acceptable. And we need to return. We need to return to tradition and make it unacceptable to hate Jews again. Can we do that, gang? Rewind the clock a little bit. Make it unacceptable to be anti-Semitic. Make it unacceptable to do violence against Jews. Just make it unacceptable. Again, this should be the easiest take in the world. But no one cares. And that's the really sad thing about this. And something I knew going in I wasn't going to get many views for doing this and covering this. I knew that tonight was going to be a slow night. And it is. Right? I knew tonight was going to be a slow night. And it is. Because I'm not covering the election stuff. I'm not covering any of that. I'm not covering any of that. I'm just covering basically Jews getting hunted down to the streets. And no one really fucking cares at the end of the day. And that's incredibly sad to me. At the end of the day, no one really cares. They're watching this and they're whatever. And they tune out. I get it. But to me, this is important. People have this, and there's this culture in this space, in the spaces I inhabit in streaming. There is a culture that you shouldn't talk about it, right? That, it's just kind of something you should not really voice too much because, the Israeli war in Gaza and all the horrific things that are happening there, right? We don't really want to take away from that. We don't want to really just kind of overshadow that. We don't want to give excuse for that. Do any kind of cover for that at all. So just kind of don't cover these things. Or if you do cover these things, just kind of both sides it, right? Maybe laugh a little bit, tune into other things, portray it as it's just soccer hooligans getting what they get, right? There is a huge incentive in streaming spaces to cover it like that, right? But I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you. And if I covered it like that, it would be a lie. If I failed to cover it, it would be a lie. Luminez says, would you back a retribution? No. Okay, let me be clear because that's good. If you If Jews decided tomorrow, in retribution for this, to go hunt the immigrant Arabs through the streets, I would condemn that just as harshly. That's not how we handle these things. That is not okay. If you want to find the people who did this and the law enforcement, bring them to the police or whatever, be my guest. But if you decide those Arabs, we got to hunt down those Arabs, and you gather a posse and you go through the street hunting down Arabs, you are a horrific anti-Arab racist. And you are violent, and I condemn you wholeheartedly. So no, I do not back this kind of retribution thinking, because both sides are doing this. This is reciprocal radicalization at play. Both sides will point to the actions of the other to justify their increased radicalization. They did it, so we should do it harder. And you can see this play out across the political spectrum, even in America, right? You see this with Destiny's community. They're hate maxing right now, as Forethought said. They are, they saw what they perceived to be bad actions on the right, and they said, if they can do it, we're going to do it worse. And I reject that way of thinking wholeheartedly, in the strongest possible terms. It does not help. It does not make things better. It does not solve the problem. It does not fix things. It only makes things worse. It continuously turns up the temperature till we all burn together. I don't want to burn. I don't want this country to burn. I don't want Israel to burn. I don't want Gaza to burn. I don't want anyone to burn. We need to stop the cycle of retributive violence. Let it end. Let it end. Bill Bradley says this is how blood feuds get started. The revenge on the revenge on the revenge, and on and on and on. And yes. But it needs to stop. Cardi says, I feel like it's becoming more and more important to be able to empathize with and recognize the humanity of the people we disagree with. It's getting wild. Yes. Now is the time for radical empathy. But we must not stay silent. When we have incidents like what occurred in Amsterdam, we cannot excuse it. We must not stay silent. We have to speak up. We have to speak out, and we have to be meticulously accurate. We have to be meticulously correct. Okay? We have to be meticulously able to identify these things. And I'm telling you right now, the fact that a solid portion of my audience tonight, on Twitch at least, right, cannot see this for the anti-Semitism it is, worries me greatly. I'm scared. I'm not ashamed to say it. That scares me more than any election, Trump presidency, whatever, right? The fact that there are several people in my audience, a good portion of them, right? Not a majority, thank God, but a portion of them who refuse to recognize what happened in Amsterdam as anti-Semitism is horrific. It's scary. It's scary. I don't know what to tell you guys. Literally everyone alive says, to be honest, I think they know it's anti-Semitism. They just want an excuse to assault people and cheer for it. That might be worse, honestly. I can't decide what's worse, actually. If they honestly don't see it as anti-Semitism, or if they know it's anti-Semitism, but are willing to say it's not for their own political purposes. Both are scary in different ways, but both are scary. Well, iPlatinum Solidi says, not gonna lie, after watching videos, I do condemn attacking random Maccabi fans just because they are Maccabi fans, but the Maccabi fans were causing trouble in the days leading up to the event too. Yes, I think we can all condemn the racist, genocidal chants given by those fans. We can all condemn the hooliganism with the destruction of private property, the pulling down of flags, to the extent where violence was done against taxi drivers and Arabs. That's entirely 100% condemnable. It's anti-Arab racism in a lot of cases, right? Easiest cop in the world, right? Easiest cop in the world to that. Yep, true. That shouldn't have happened, right? But again, that does not excuse in any way, shape, or form what followed. And what followed was orders of magnitude worse. They're Twitch chatters. They don't know words. No, they didn't target people for their team. Let's. I guess we need a reminder, right? Stay. I'm not Jewish. I'm not a Maccabi fan. I'm not an Israeli. I'm not a Zionist. I'm not Jewish. This goes far beyond just normal hooliganism. Like this isn't like a football brawl. That's not what they were doing. Have I ever been in a fight? It's been a few years, but yes. It's been a few years, but yes. I've never been in a hooligan brawl. I've never been in a riot like that, no. But we have, again, video after video after video after video of this happening over and over again. Let's watch this one.
What time again? Free Palestine. No, what time? Louder. I want it louder now. Free Palestine. Say it. Where you from? Say it. Huh?
Привет, спасибо. Passport. Where are you from? Спасибо, привет.
You filming? I can't say.
Why you say Israel? Where you from?
White eyebrows.
Why are you saying Israel?
I don't say anything. I did Israel, brother. I know. Okay, so I'm European, I'm tourist. What are you doing? This
wasn't like... There was tension there, But this wasn't like a fight situation. This wasn't a brawl situation. A bunch of them together, and they filmed it, right? They filmed themselves doing it. They accosted this guy, tried to figure out if he, like, checked his passport, right? Asked him where he was from, right? Accosted him, okay? When they found out he wasn't, right, like he was Ukrainian, they're like, okay, sorry, right? But this guy, this Ukrainian's like, why the hell are you doing this? So this wasn't just like the heat of the moment. This happens in a brawl that goes wrong. Like, this was premeditated. They were hunting. They were hunting, right? Where were the cops? I don't know. Right, there were some arrests made, right? It's been hard to get accurate information on that as well. How many arrests, who was arrested, that's been one of the most difficult pieces to get information on. So I can't give you accurate numbers. But it was clear. I think what is clear is the police failed to respond to this in any meaningful fashion, not appropriately, right? And I don't know why. Okay, I am exhausted, gang. This has been exhausting to cover, exhausting to talk about. I'm really just tired of it. I'm tired of having to try to get you to understand attacking Jews is bad. Right? I'm tired of having to have this argument every time. No, it's not good what they said. It's not good that they ripped up flags. No, that's bad. But that doesn't excuse this. And the fact that we had some people in my Twitch chat, I'm not saying you, Platinum, but there were others before you, saying, no, they got what they got. Like, they should hunt down the Jews. Is disgusting to me, and I hate it. Okay. We're right out. Let's go to, who are we going to? Rora? Let's go to Rora. It's been a while since we got Rora. I'm exhausted. We'll reconvene on Monday. We'll do college or something. It'll be fun. And I'll talk to you guys later. Love you too. Bye.